You've been saying you wanted to write a book since Bow Wow was going by Lil Bow Wow, and I hate that for you. If he had to grow up, don't you think you need to do the same? If you're new here, my name is Katie Bennett, and I'm a best-selling author, the founder of Lexicon Presents Publishing, and your host for Drafts Don't Count, because they don't. You're either going to do it or continue to annoy the people around you. During our time together, we have gone over every possible fear that you could face during the book writing process, which is,
I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the knowledge, I don't have the resources, or I'm scared.
Every fear that you could potentially have during this process, I've provided you practical tips and even places on where you can go to find resources to help you. So right now, you don't have any excuse. If you are listening to this and you still don't have at minimum a third of your manuscript completed, I need you to understand that it's you. You have gotten so comfortable existing in a place where excuses are allowed to not only survive, but thrive. And therefore, there is really nothing nobody else can do for you. I don't mean to be so hard after spending time trying to baby y'all or soften it up a little bit with some words of motivation and encouragement, but we have to call a spade a spade. If I've given you access to every potential solution and you still don't have a manuscript, you need a little bit more hand-holding than you're being honest with, or you need to just go ahead and hang it up and just realize that maybe this just isn't for you. I know that sounds like a very harsh truth, but I need you to hashtag charge it to the game and take this as someone who genuinely cares about you and your success and not someone who's just trying to hate on you. If you keep telling yourself you're going to be a published author one day, or that you're going to be a best-selling author one day, or that you're going to create another stream of income for you and your family by publishing a book, and then you are not doing those things, that is messing with you subconsciously, and that's showing up in every area of your life. Confidence is a skill that we develop by saying we're going to do something and then following through to do it. So if you're playing around and you keep saying that you're going to write a book and you're not doing it, not only are you failing yourself, your mission, your purpose, those people around you, but you're also doing a disservice to the skills that you need just to survive in life. Now, I really need you to sit with that for a minute, because you're really okay with telling yourself one thing and then doing another. And so I know if you're doing this with books, you're doing this in other areas of your life. It might be the gym. It might be a goal to save money. It might be a goal to actually train for a marathon. But if you're comfortable speaking things out of your mouth and then not following through with them, that tells me you cannot be a confident person. You cannot be somebody who is serious and disciplined. There is no way two of those things can be true at the same time. You're either going to honor the words and commitments that come out of your mouth, or you're not. And if you don't even keep the promises that you make to yourself, how is anybody else supposed to take you seriously? And if you're not ready to write a complete manuscript, don't put yourself in a position where you're breaking promises to yourself and then backsliding on this ability to develop the skill of confidence and self-trust when you could be doing something that sets you up further for success. Today, I'm going to be reading from the ebook, Your Story Matters. It is available for you. You can either purchase it or you can subscribe to our newsletter, and then you'll receive an email that gives you information on how you can get the ebook for free. Either way, there's a section there that says, find your lane and stay there. So the whole purpose of this was to teach you all of the different ways in which you can actually publish your story. So if you said you were going to do a novel or a memoir, and you're like,
I've been spending all of this time and I'm still looking at more blank pages than written pages.
don't beat yourself up. Let's just find another lane for you to write into. That way you can develop the skill of building confidence in your writing, building confidence in your ability to honor your commitment to yourself. And as you develop that skill, it'll become easier for you to get to the memoir. Like I told you before, this process does not get easier. You just get better. You just get stronger at saying, I can't play around with the promises that I've made for myself. And when you get to that level, when you say, hey, I'm going to write a memoir, or I'm going to write a novel, or I'm going to write a play, you're going to do that to the end because you've developed a skill of doing that through little actions. So for the sake of time, I'm going to run through this. I'm going to tell you the different ways in which you can put a story together and give you the pros and cons. So that way you can kind of see if this is something that you want to do. Again, because we only have 10 minutes, I can't dive deep into all of this. But if the book is available for you for free, don't come over here making no excuses with me. I'm not finna play with you. So the first option you have, we kind of already talked about. It's a memoir or a biography, and that's just a full-blown story about yourself. I put in the book, I want to read this to you. It says, my 2 cents. This route works best for someone who is a disciplined writer or someone who can afford a ghostwriter. If you do not feel confident in your writing right now, you will set yourself up for failure thinking you're going to sit down and write a 60,000, 80,000 word memoir. It's not going to happen. If you don't have that level of discipline to stay with your 1 page a day, if you don't have a third of your manuscript right now, put that memoir and the plan that you have for that memoir down. Put it in a place where you can see it so you don't forget about it, but just recognize you're not there yet. The second one is an anthology, and I love anthologies. Honestly, my Aunt Hope was the first person who introduced me to these books where you can have one book, multiple authors, and still be able to give the reader something that they're able to enjoy. And so when you do an anthology, it's just a collection of different authors, and it allows you to write your part or your chapter. And depending on the rules of the anthology, you don't need as many words. So for like a full length novel, where most of the time that's an 80,000 word requirement, if you do an anthology, I've done stuff where it's only 5,000 words. And let's be serious, 5,000 words is a much more achievable goal than 80,000 if you don't have the discipline to even write half of that 80,000 requirement. Workbooks and guided journals are another amazing way to get your work out there quick, fast, and without a ton of work up front. So if you know that even doing 5,000 words is going to be too much for you, take some time to just develop a habit and create a workbook or a guided journal. A workbook might just be walking them through a process that you're familiar with. A guided journal might just be a regular journal with writing prompts. That way it leaves the responsibility on the person filling out the journal or the workbook, and all you have to do is just kind of put the solid foundation there and let them do the rest of the writing. So another way that you can develop this muscle of honoring your commitments to yourself and seeing your publishing dreams through is if you do some form of short form thought. That might be writing something and putting it somewhere like Substack, creating your own blog. For example, we talked about that as a means of publishing. You can also do essays. Sometimes you may have magazines that may have calls for different types of writing styles. And maybe you don't have it in you to do 5,000 words for an anthology. And you definitely don't have the full length novel in you. An essay that may call for only 1,000 or 1,500 words might really be in your lane for right now. Because if you can go through the same process of planning, writing, editing, publishing, and publishing might just mean submitting to these journals or magazines or these other mediums in which you can publish this short form thought, that develops a habit where you start to address yourself as a published author. You start to address yourself as someone who is building a solid portfolio. Remember, it's all about habit. And sometimes we need to trick ourselves. It sounds crazy. But sometimes we need to trick ourselves into stepping into who we're destined to become. I'm just going to put this here real quick just so that you guys understand the point I'm making. So when I was almost 260 pounds, y'all, I struggled with getting up and wanting to go to the gym. A trainer that I had at the time, he told me, he said, you know what? I want you to come to the gym every single day, 5 days a week, and sit in the parking lot. And I thought that was crazy. Like, why would you tell me to go sit in the parking lot of the gym when your goal as a trainer is to get me in the gym and working out? Well, through that conversation, I learned that that is a really quick and easy way to trick your brain into building a habit. Because what happens is if you go to the gym and you sit in your car, even if you're doom scrolling or watching any of the TV shows that you're watching, you've included a new language when you're speaking to somebody that didn't exist before. You'll tell them, I can't because I have to go to the gym. Or I'm coming back from the gym and that's why XYZ, right? So you include that conversation into your everyday conversation. And before you know it, you get tired of just showing up and sitting outside watching everybody go get the results that you're hoping for, and you eventually join in on the action. That's what this is about. It is the equivalent of you showing up to the gym. So even if you know you want to write a memoir or a full fan fiction novel or whatever the case may be, if you can start with the smaller things, commit to that, see that all the way through to fruition, and then be satisfied. Take some time celebrating yourself through the process. It gets easier to get to where you're trying to go. Another option you have is to create a coloring book or some sort of prompt book. To me, they're kind of similar to like the guided workbooks, but I kept it separate just because this, in my mind, is something that you can easily get someone else to go in and do. There's a ton of different programs that you can go in and hire freelance illustrators, writers even, to go in and get some of the stuff done for you. So I kept this separate because I just feel like you can almost pay somebody to do this part for you. And once you slap your name on that cover and you hit publish, who cares? You're now a published author. The goal is to develop the muscle, develop the habit, so the goal you're looking for becomes easier to obtain. So we've got a couple more. For the sake of time, I'm just going to run through them. Children's books, they're always fun. Quick little stories. Doesn't take many words at all for you to get a full story together. You also have playbook and white paper. That's something more for like organizations and enterprises. That's usually best for like B2B authority, contracts, partnerships, etc. If that don't sound like something you need to worry about, that's probably something you don't need to worry about. But I included that there for the people that would benefit from knowing that. And then last but certainly not least is the audio first. So it's no different than speaking on TikTok, doing those little story times on TikTok or story times on Instagram. Because when you think about it, your TikToks and your reels are no different. You plan it out. You write it, right? And in the sake of writing, that just might be sitting in front of your camera, hitting record. Then you take that over to an editing software, you edit that, and then you publish it or you post it. See how you're able to do those same 4 steps that are needed for your goal of being a novelist or someone who's written their own autobiography. Those goals are the same. So if you can start on a smaller scale and commit to it on a smaller scale, it gets easier to do it at the big boy level. Now, the last part of this chapter, I think, is a great way to just close out this episode. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it. Don't window shop the possibilities. Select one you can move on this month and start building towards a press-worthy moment, whether that's a tight essay, a chapter in an anthology, a workbook that support your program, or the first pages of your memoir. Your story doesn't grow from ideas. It grows from decisions. Make one, commit to it, and let's begin. If you have a hard time starting, don't quit. Just find some support. We'll cover that in another section and adjust the plan. My favorite part of this ending. Momentum favors the brave, and your audience is waiting. I love that last sentence. Y'all, it's okay if you can't write your full memoir right now. You can put that thing in a guided journal, and then throughout the guided journal, you can tell them, oh, I'll give you the details of that later, right? Preparing your audience to already be ready to buy another book that is eventually coming. Put your story in a short story, in an anthology. Tell it as a story time on TikTok. But either way, there's no reason that you're not writing. So get to writing.